Hey, everybody. We've got a special guest coming up right now. I'm not going to waste any of your time. We're going to dive right into our interview with the one, the only Amanda Suzuki. Coming right up. Enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. You're in Fumble Puck. Behind every great hockey player, pro hockey player, there's a great family. We actually are lucky enough to have the mother of not one, but two professional hockey players, Ryan from the Carolina Hurricanes and our very own Nick Suzuki from the Montreal Canadiens. We're here with Amanda Suzuki, their mother. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
This is exciting. You have a unique perspective for a lot of people listening to podcasts because we don't normally get family members on to talk about the experience. Who used to win fights when they were kids between Ryan and Nick?
I would have to say Ryan would normally get his way because Nick would just give up and give in to Ryan. So he's just that kind of kid that he's just like, and they really didn't fight. I have to admit, they were really good besties growing up. And it was Ryan probably the provoker. Nick was just so, the way you see Nick is just like calm, cool, collected. That was him from a baby all the way up.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
When did they fall in love with hockey?
I think from birth, to be honest. Rob used to stay up at night with Nick so that I could go to bed, and he would give Nick his last feeding before putting him down to bed, and they would sit and watch hockey together. And I know he was just a baby, but I honestly believe that time and watching, just watching some of the games and watching his dad be so excited about the games, I think it just was in their, plus I think it was in their blood too. Because my husband was good at hockey when he was a young kid. So
that's awesome. Did he play for like the OHL or anything or any of those?
No. Rob was just a very athletic kid. But back in those days, parents had, limited funds. And so everything went into the family. And unfortunately, Rob couldn't do competitive hockey because they only had the one car and they had 3 kids, so it just wasn't in the cards for him. But it was something that he wanted to do for his own children, that he always said, if our kids are good at any sport, we're going to give them every opportunity we can for them to be successful. And that's what we did. We sacrificed everything. Not everything, but we sacrificed a lot so that the boys could do what they loved. And it turned out to be hockey. They both really enjoyed soccer as well. They were both very good. Ryan and Nick were both very good at soccer as well, but ended up both of their passions went towards hockey.
That's awesome. I love that support. It's great. And it's not always that common. So it's great and both of them to be both drafted is also an amazing feat to both you.
Well, never did we think that when we had the 2 boys, we would be sitting in all these massive arenas watching our boys cross the stage being drafted in the first round. Like, to me, it's still surreal that both boys have been so successful. And, I'm happy for them. They're doing something that they love and they're passionate about. And so they love going to work every single day.
We all wish we had that.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. It's so good. I love it. I love that it's both kids. That to me is just that I just think that's amazing because it's such a rarity to even have one kid.
Yeah, totally. It is. Yeah.
Two. It's amazing. And then you have like the Stahl family where it's like 17, but whatever.
Yes, there's a lot of Stahl boys. Yes.
Yeah, they're an anomaly, but no, but it's great. It's so awesome.
Yeah. Does Nick have one of the old guys on the Habs that he particularly looks up to? Someone that he thinks is a good mentor for him?
I think every guy on that team brings something for Nick to look up to. I know that last year he learned a lot from Nate Thompson. He kind of took him under his wing And but I know that Shea and Gally and like Jeff Petrie and Deneau and Jonathan Drouin. I don't want to forget about Jonathan was really supportive of Nick last year. He just they keep an eye out for him and help him. And you can't, as a parent, you can't ask for anything more that the support from your teammates and especially the older guys that have been around. And I know he's a young guy and sometimes they don't mesh with the older guys, but I think Nick's been very well thought of and the guys they all get along, which is amazing.
That's awesome. That's great. I think it's wonderful. And you just mentioned a lot of quality leaders in that group. So
yeah, well, I probably haven't named them all. And I know Nick had, he's interacted with Corey Perry here in London. So I don't think so they already had the connection when Corey came to the team, and Josh Anderson and Eric Stahl and all of them. Like, I think once they all got to know each other, I think it's like a brotherhood, right? A family.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's something special in that locker room. Yeah,
I think so. And it shows on the ice because they all come to play for each other.
What kind of emotions are you going through right now? I mean, like, as an already big hockey fan, seeing your son in the conference final, do you have any superstitions you're living through right now? Anything that you're doing? How's it making you feel?
Are you able to watch the games? Or are you like Cat Toffoli and you can't watch?
I watch every single game, but I do have my superstitions. So for this, since they've started the playoffs, every game day, I tweet out something. I find a picture or a comment or something about the team, and I tweet out like a positive, like "Go Habs Go" or "Good Vibes Only," or thinking of Jonathan Drouin, or when Jake Evans got hurt or something like that. So I tweet out every day. I post something on Instagram in my story. I sent the song Unstoppable by Sia.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that song. And I sent it to Nick and I said, "This is you're unstoppable. And listen to the lyrics in this song because I think of you when I listen to this song." So every game day, I post something on my Instagram story with that song playing. And then I've had a couple of girlfriends over to watch the game, and she has to bring me a Tim Hortons tea, and then we have to eat Miss Vicky's chips and dip. And
which flavor, Miss Vicky's?
Oh, just original, and we love the hell of a dip.
Awesome.
Okay,
that's fantastic choices.
Yeah, so we've stopped that because we realized that's not a healthy snack. So we've cut that out of our routine. But anyway, so we do have funny little I have my funny little things that I do on game day. So it's just like when you do one thing and they win the game, you're like, okay, we're gonna do that the next day. So don't change up the routine. But we broke the routine because we went to Montreal for 2 days. So, we didn't follow the same routine, right? So,
right.
It's silly little things like that.
We have our silly little things. I've been clutching a Yuppie doll every single game for the last month now. So.
Yep. I mean, whatever gets you through it, I think you got to stick with it. My husband is not superstitious one iota. He thinks it's ridiculous, and he just laughs at me for every time I do it. So.
That makes it more entertaining.
Yeah,
I literally have to make sure all my blinds are closed before the game starts. If a light is open when the game starts, I won't touch it unless we're losing. Then I'll close it. And I literally eat a donut around 8:00 or 9, depending. I have to stop. I've been eating, and if we win and I have a lunch, that like we won. Like yesterday I had Subway for lunch and we won. I'm very concerned that I'm not going to have Subway tomorrow because normally I'd eat Subway again, but I got really sick of Wendy's doing this. So I think I'm okay with not doing that. But
Yeah.
I'm nuts. And then my mom is also my mom came over to watch the game last night. She didn't watch game 1 and we lost. So last night my dad kicked her out of the house and forced her to come here to watch the game. We're nuts.
It is like you think it matters, but it really doesn't. But if it gets me thinking and in that positive mind frame, I guess who cares, right? You just do it.
I completely agree with you. I think, does Nick have any hockey superstitions that you know or that you're allowed to say? I don't want to like step on any toes.
I think I don't know what he's doing this time around, but I think he had a lucky suit that he used to wear. Like
Nice.
If I'm talking maybe about last year, he wore the same suit every day. But
I love it.
I really don't get into that with him. So I'm sure he does have a few superstitions, but or the way that I don't know. I haven't really talked to him about it, but
As long as it's not that Bergevin green one, I think we're good.
Noticed that last night. I'm like, why is he not wearing the red one?
Exactly.
When did the green appear?
Me too. I was like, what happened? It was red, and the red was bad enough.
I thought we were going with the red. I thought we were lucky with the red.
Me too. It was a very strange suit. I guess he was trying to go a Pasternak route, but Pasternak lost that game. What an ugly color suit that was. Did you see the guy? Did you guys see that mint green suit?
No, I didn't. Oh,
I did, yeah.
I don't recall it, but
I'll find it and send you a tweet of it after.
Send me a picture.
Oh, it was so bad.
I have no fashion sense whatsoever, so a lime green suit I'd probably think was cool.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I have no problem with color. Like, I think color is awesome, and I respect the men that can pull it off. But Nick has got a couple of new suits lately, so it's nice to see him switching it up, and it's not black or gray, and he's going for a bit of color. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So he gets pretty excited when he's got a new suit. He sends pictures of him, showing it off. So it's really good.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Does the team send you this is going to be a really weird question, but does the team ever send you extra video footage of your son? I know it's a weird question, but
nope, not at all. Nope.
Okay.
No.
So you see what we see essentially.
Exactly what you see, I see. And then I go on Twitter, which is a bad habit. I go on to Twitter and I look up everything that's being said.
Oh.
And I've had to stop it because, it's not always sunshine and roses. And everybody has a different opinion. And I've even noticed when I tweet something, I get people that are not fans. And it upsets me. And I gotta do better with that and just ignore it, right?
That sucks because especially we know our fan base can sometimes be negative, right? Like every fan base does, but I would think we'd be almost hard pressed to find anybody in the league who doesn't at least like Nick Suzuki.
I agree. I mean, I love him personally. That sounds creepy. I don't mean in a creepy way, but. Well,
some players take flack in the social media, and some players have it a little harder. We know, obviously. I just think he's so likable.
Oh yeah, I know. I think he's likable.
I hope so.
And I love him to death, and I would talk about him all day, every day. Who doesn't want to talk about Nick Suzuki?
Exactly.
When did you guys get the sense that Nick and Ryan had a special talent for hockey?
I think really early on, Rob saw it before I did because I didn't grow up playing hockey or watching hockey. That was not in our family bailiwick. But Rob knew early on that the boys had something special. And, we didn't really talk about it, but he would say, he could tell that they were going to make it on the competitive teams. And then when it came to Nick, I think it maybe was when they started AAA, it kind of sunk in to say, our kids are pretty good, because I never grew up with all that kind of stuff, and Rob knew more about it than I did. And so I was just happily going along, going, oh, my kids, I love watching my kids play hockey. It's great. So, yeah, so I think it was fairly early on, but we never really thought about it. And because we never wanted to pressure the boys into anything or feel that they had to keep doing it unless, if they still loved doing it, great. But if they didn't love doing it anymore, it was okay too.
That's awesome.
Right, which is awesome.
I think Rob was a little sad that they didn't love soccer and wanted to go that route, but I think the hockey paid off. So
yeah, I think there's no regrets at this point in time, huh?
No, none at all. I think hockey the boys have taken, at least me, a lot of interesting places because I tried to go with them if they were ever asked to go on any kind of like select teams or Hockey Canada. I tried to go to everything. It was more challenging for my husband because he's a dentist. And so he just couldn't take off all the time. Whereas I was able to do it and take time away from work. So they've taken me to certain, interesting places like Finland and Italy and tons of places out in BC and where else? Slovakia. Like I would never have gone to Slovakia if it wasn't for Nick playing for Hockey Canada.
That's so cool. Which is your favorite place?
My favorite place, I think I have to admit, it was Finland. Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
Going to Sweden and Finland because again, I would never have chosen Helsinki as a place to go, but it was absolutely a beautiful place. Beautiful.
And now half of them are on the Habs, so it works.
Yes.
You're like Finland, east, I guess. Yes. Depending on which way you go around the world, but east, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
How did you guys as a family manage the distance? Because Ryan was in Barrie, Nick went to Owen Sound to start, right? What was it like having to let them go off on their own?
Oh, that was probably the hardest thing as a mom. When I dropped Nick off in Owen Sound, and they're only 16, or was just barely 16, and I left him. I mean, I was there for I think I stayed for about 3 or 4 days, and I watched their, the first couple of scrimmages and stuff. This is before they, cut some kids and stuff like that. And I met his billet mom, and she was lovely. And the day I left them, and I had to leave around 5 o'clock, but before I left, I dropped Marcus Phillips and Nick wanted some Subways. So I went to Subways and I dropped them off at the arena. And he just looked, he says, okay, thanks, Mom, bye.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. And he goes, it's okay, you can go now. And I'm like, okay. And I'm in the car and I cried for about half an hour as I drove out of Owen Sound. And I'm like, oh my God, I just left my child with some family I don't really know, for hockey. And I'm like, are we really doing this? Am I really allowing this to happen? And then, and then the same with Ryan, because he's my baby. I was like, at least I had Ryan at home when Nick left. But then when Ryan left, we were empty nesters. And it's just like, what are we going to do? And it was hard leaving Ryan and Barrie. But again, we met his billet family ahead of time. We met them like on draft day, actually. We met his billet family when Barrie announced drafting him. And we connected all summer with them. And the Johnsons were an amazing family. And so I felt a lot better when I dropped him off in Barrie because I already knew them as a family and they knew us. And I knew they were loving Ryan just as much as we loved Ryan. And I knew that with Rose as well. They loved Nick, and he had 2 other billet brothers too. So he had 2 other teammates with him. So I knew he was going to be fine. Whereas Ryan was on his own with the family, but they had kids his own age, the same age as Ryan. So it was just nice knowing that they were okay, but it was painful to have them leave home at 16. I know exactly what parents go through when their kids leave for college and university, and it's hard.
My heart breaks hearing like how you're saying that story, like how I can't even imagine.
When you guys have children of your own, you will know that it is hard. You want them to grow, and you've raised them to be independent and you've done a good job when they're just like, okay, you can go now. I'm okay. So, yeah. But it's heartbreaking to, leave your child behind, and you're still, I know they were only 2.5 hours away, but it's still 2.5 hours away if there's a problem, right?
For sure. Noah, can you imagine leaving your kids?
Oh my God. I've got two little ones. My daughter's 2.5 and my son just turned 1. Aww. I couldn't even imagine. Oh, of course they're young, so I'm not going to leave them alone anyways right now. But that feeling of, like, this person is your whole life, right?
Yep. Exactly.
It's going to happen to me at some point. I'm going to have to do it. And, it takes a lot of strength. So what I'm getting from this right now is just like there's a huge amount of love in your family, and it's so cool to hear you talk about it. Like I can feel the energy from it. It's great.
Yeah, me too. We love our boys to death, and I know they love us just as much.
Which is awesome. I can feel it. I literally I feel so. You can't see me clearly, but I'm like my face can't have a bigger grin on it, and like I feel so I feel the warmth.
Well, we do. We're a tight-knit little family, and Nick and Ryan have grown up with a lot of family support around them. They have, wonderful grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins, and they just treat them like Nick and Ryan, not Nick the NHLer or Ryan the future NHLer, or they're just Nick and Ryan, and they've had a ton of family support around them since they were little. So
that's awesome. Has any of your family had to convert from Leaf fans to Habs fans?
I don't think so. I'm just trying to think. I think we're a family that just moves loyalties to where the boys are. So I don't think we've ever had a diehard Leaf fan. Now, remember, that was probably Rob's team growing up. And they did watch a lot of Leafs game when Nick was little, and I'm sure Ryan. But they just ended up watching a ton of hockey. It didn't matter who was playing. They were fans of a lot of players growing up. Like the Sidney Crosbys of the world, and I don't even know half of them because I wasn't.
Nick said he's a big fan of Patrice Bergeron, huh?
Oh yes, he loved Patrick Bergeron. Yes.
Yeah.
Boston. He's great. Who doesn't like Patrice Bergeron? Let's be honest.
Yes.
Except every Habs fan when we play him, but otherwise he's such a good player.
Well, there's so many great players in the league, right? So I just sit there and I go, you just played against such and such. Like, how does that make you feel that you did a face-off with this guy, like, who's been in the league for years and years, and you're just like a 20-year-old kid? Like, how do you manage that? And he goes, it's just, you got to play the game, and you just do it. And I'm like,
that's so wild.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm intimidated just watching them. I can't even imagine how they feel.
Yeah. And Nick just makes it look so easy. Like, he just goes,
he's so calm.
Yeah. I'm like, don't you ever get nervous or like butterflies, or like, do you ever panic? And he's like, no. And I like the different crowds booing you. Like if you're in somebody else's arena and they're just booing you, like he goes, it doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Has he mentioned anything about how crazy Vegas is?
No, I haven't really talked to him. I try not to bother him when he's focused on the games. Like I'll talk to him. I think they just landed, or they're just getting back home to Montreal. So I'll give him a quick call tonight to see how he's doing. But I mean, Vegas is awesome. Like that crowd must have been, I think he said it was pretty electric the first game. It was pretty awesome. And I'm like, how did you feel being back there? And I mean, obviously he was drafted there and he got to spend a little bit of time there, but he's just so happy that he gets to play hockey. It doesn't really matter where. It would have been nice if he could have played maybe a little bit with Vegas, but these things happen. It's a business. It's and you just, you go where you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that trade?
We were down in Vegas when we found out he was doing, I think they were doing like that rookie tournament. And he had just finished a game. I think it was against San Jose. And we were in Vegas, like at the Red Rock Inn, and I think it was at their practice arena. And we were sitting, and my sister and brother-in-law joined us to come to Vegas. And the four of us were having drinks and dinner after the game, and we were just sitting having wine and everything. And then somebody reached out to my husband and sent him a text and said, "I'm so sad to see Nick's leaving Vegas and all the best." And Rob's like, "What?" And he's like looking, and then we went on Twitter, and that's where we found out that Nick had just been traded to Montreal.
Oh, wow.
And so we were a little shell-shocked, of course.
Right.
And very, his agent was there with us too. So we went over and said, "Did you know this was happening?" And he's like, "No, I didn't know this was happening." And so we just sat there. We texted Nick and said, "We're over here at the restaurant." Basically, they told him he was brought in to talk to the GM, and the GM told him that he had been traded, and basically that to pack up his stuff, and he had to head out to Montreal, the next couple of days. And so the player rep for the Vegas Knights was so nice. He's like, "Okay, Nick, let's pack you up, and I'm going to walk you back over and make sure, we'll get you to your mom and dad," because he knew we were there. And he walked Nick back over and shook our hands and said what a great kid we had, and that we were that he was sorry to lose him, but I think he felt he was compassionate and very kind, and as a parent we appreciated that. So I couldn't have asked for anything better. Yeah, of course we were shocked and sad, but then when one door closes, something else opens up, and Montreal opened up, and he had the best year the next. He went to Guelph. He finished up his OHL career.
Yep.
And then came back to Montreal the next September and made the team.
And he's been
Guelph team was great too.
Yes.
I remember his playoffs that year was insane.
It was completely insane. Like they were against London, they were down 3-0, and they came back and won it in the seventh game. And then they went to, I think it was Saginaw after that, and went on and played Ottawa and beat Ottawa.
Yeah, I got to host him at the restaurant at my spot in Ottawa when they were in town. I got the whole team out for a couple of lunches, and
nice.
Yeah, the energy was so cool.
Yeah,
and it was hard for me because obviously I kind of want Ottawa to win because it's good for business, but knowing that Nick Suzuki's winning some hockey games and carrying the team, well, not carrying, it's a team effort, but he definitely was an outstanding performer. It was hard not to smile about it,
Yeah. I mean, he's meant for playoffs. I think he just thrives on it. Obviously, he does.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, and we're very appreciative of that. But I have to tell you, I really wanted us to draft Cole Caulfield, and I have been a massive, Noah can vouch for this, I have loved Tyler Toffoli since he came into the league. So the fact that the three of them are playing together kind of blows my mind in amazingness.
Yes.
And it makes me very happy because I see so much chemistry between Nick and Tyler and Nick and Cole. And then Cole and Tyler have been having chemistry too. So it's like perfect.
It's an amazing line. I think they're just clicking, and it's great to see that chemistry building. And I know that Nick and Cole are buddies, and Nick's showing him the ropes around Montreal and getting him out and about, and getting him acclimatized a little bit. So, and it's nice that he's showing that same kind of support to him, and in his first year of Montreal, because it's tough, right?
For sure. Like, especially Montreal. It's such an amazing city, but there's so many things in this city that can be a detriment to people. So it's a great city though. I mean, I'm really happy that Nick has the people he looks up to who are helping him and he's passing it down. I love that. Yeah. Because Montreal is an amazing city.
Well, Nick loves it. So he's found some great restaurants and great spots to go. And, he loved showing us around a couple of weeks ago. And, they're checking out the area for spots to, maybe buy a house in a couple of years and stuff like that. It's so exciting to see him blossoming and growing as a human being.
That's so cool.
I love it. Are you coming in for the game tomorrow?
Not Ryan is there.
Awesome.
And so he and a bunch of his friends are going, and then Rob and I are coming up for Sunday's game.
Nice.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, we got to check out game 3 and 4 of the Jets games too. So that was really awesome.
Oh, that's great. It must have been so insane to be here.
It was so weird going into the Bell Center and there's only like 2,500 people in there. But it felt bigger. Like it felt like there was a lot more people in there. And everybody was so excited to be there. And it was it was unreal. It was awesome.
I'm glad because I know that it's funny. Someone was tweeting out how it sounds so loud. I think it was Eric Engels, who was our guest on our show. And he was like, it's so loud in here. And I'm like, honestly, it's not translating. It sounds super quiet on TV.
There was a lot of energy. It was amazing. The music was awesome. The DJs were awesome. And we were cheering and doing the wave. And it just felt so normal. Except everybody's wearing a mask.
Right.
It just felt like it was like a normal hockey game. And yeah, they didn't. I have to give them kudos, the Bell Center, for making it really seamless, getting in, and it was very well organized. And everybody was so super, here's hand sanitizer here, and very clean, it was awesome.
I've got the big question. So the big question, I'm a big hockey prospects fan. I've been a fan of the Suzuki brothers for years.
Okay.
Do they ever talk about one day playing together?
I think, I'm sure they have. I know we certainly have. I would love them to be on the same team because it would be nice to go and see both of them at the same time. I always used to hate watching them play against each other. That always kind of scared me. That I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't watch. But they weren't on the shifts at the same time, so that was pretty much the way it was. But it would be lovely, honestly, to have them on the same team. But that's
they have pretty complementary skill sets.
They do. I think they would play really well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my dream.
So we'll just let's start that. Let's let them
put it out into the universe and see what the universe does to respond to it.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do when they do play against each other? Does you cheer for one and your husband cheers for the other, or you just cheer for both?
We cheer for both, and we cheer for the success of each of them. What we used to do in the OHL, we would sit in one section with the one team, and then in the second period, we'd move over to the other side with the other parents, and then go back for the third period with the others. So we would just go back and forth to the different areas. So that was kind of our little thing.
Have you had a chance to get to Chicago to see Ryan at all this year? Border travel must be hard, right?
No, not with COVID. We weren't able to get over there. But if he's there next year, I plan to get out to Chicago and watch a few games with him. I love Chicago too. So it's a great area. So we'll see. My dream would be that he would get to Carolina sooner. So
there's a path there, I think. There are great teams. So obviously the depth, you have to work your way up. But I mean, he's still performing well. I like the chances.
Yep. you never know. So but he really enjoyed Chicago with the Wolves, and he had a really great time and met a lot of great guys. And so I think he was really happy at least he got to play some hockey as well. So that was really good. He's sick and tired of quarantining though. Like that poor kid's had to do a ton of quarantining. So
I'm sure that must be horrible for him. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is he home now? Now he's back in Canada, I'm guessing?
Yeah, he's been home since, where are we? We're in June. I think he got home in April. And then he had to do a couple of weeks of quarantine. And then, so he's been working out, and he can start skating, I think, next week or something like that. So, but
nice.
He's been hanging out with all of his friends that he hasn't seen since Christmas.
That's awesome.
Even before Christmas, because he went to World Juniors. So he hasn't seen a lot of these guys since like November. So
that's awesome.
Wow, that's hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you want people to know about your boys?
Well, I think what you see is what you get. Like, they're both very humble kids, very, professional kids. They're loving kids. They're just nice all around. They're, and they love what they do. And they love their fans. So.
That's awesome.
Well, they have two of them and me and Noah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're huge fans. It's the Suzuki Bros.
And I think I'm their biggest fan, though. I always say that I'm the biggest fan.
I would not argue with you on that one.
Me neither. I won't argue with that either. But we do enjoy them.
Yeah. I know they've got a lot. I see the love for them. And just all the great compliments and all the positive vibes and that they get. And, he's only one person. His teammates make him better, and he helps them be better as well. So
I love that. I just love that. It's and he's great. He's great, and he has such a high hockey IQ, and it's awesome. And he did a beautiful, beautiful move last night and almost scored.
Yes, almost.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Actually, I don't even care that it didn't go in. That was great.
It was.
I was screaming. We were all screaming at the TV, and it was awesome.
It was a great. Yeah, he'll score. I'm not worried about him at all.
Oh, he'll get one. Hopefully, he'll get one on Sunday when we're there.
I hope so.
Yeah,
we'll be watching for it now. Absolutely.
Exactly. Okay, we'll wrap up because we don't want to keep you. So thank you. But any last question, Noah?
No, this was absolutely spectacular. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to a couple of just normal human beings like us who love hockey and are big fans of your kids.
Thank you. Well, I'm just a normal mom that's got a kid who plays hockey. So, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
It was great. Thank you so much, Amanda. We really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Wish Nick luck for us when you call him later tonight.
I will. Thank you very much, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Cheers, Amanda.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. What a wonderful woman.
I know. I adore her.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Nice and humble, and I think that is awesome.
You could just really tell how much she loves them, right? Like you feel the love. It was so cool. That was great.
The amount of love I feel, I'm just beaming. I'm beaming with pride, and it's not even my kid. I don't even know Amanda in person, but she's awesome, and I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was awesome. You want to do a quick recap of what's happening in the Habs?
Yeah, I guess we'll dig into that now. Game 3 coming up.
Did you think they were going to tie it in the last 2 minutes last night?
Oh, I don't make predictions and stuff like that, but I definitely had my heart rate up. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was clenching everything again, man. I just kept clenching all night.
Yeah, it was. But so it reminded me a little bit, and not at all a similar scenario, but just the energy of it. I remember when I was watching Pittsburgh versus Detroit in the Stanley Cup final when Pittsburgh won their first cup there with in the Crosby era, and I remember the last minute of that game where. It was funny because it was Marc-Andre Fleury who's on the other side now, but Marc-Andre Fleury was diving left, right, and center. Max Talbot was blocking shots and stuff. And I remember being a really frantic scramble to get to that win. And it felt kind of like that yesterday. It was really this tense moment of everyone doing their bit, everyone fighting hard. It was and both games have been really entertaining, actually.
They have, and the pace of the hockey is crazy. And Tyler Toffoli was a beast on a mission last night with like his defensive game. He was incredible. So was Deneau, but they were both incredible last night.
Yeah, I think both of them were amazing. Like Phil Deneau had a defensive hockey clinic put on last night. It was cool to see. I love that. So like, it's always tough to get name recognition when you're talking about defensive forwards, right? And we talk about the Selke Trophy. It's one of those trophies that the same three people are nominated every year.
Right.
Phil Deneau getting elevated into this spotlight, I think, is really cool because now people around the country and around the continent are starting to see him a little more. So it's great.
Yeah, and they're realizing what a great defensive forward he is because he is.
Yeah. And they've got like that line of Toffoli, Suzuki, and Caulfield. I love how all three of them have multiple tricks in their bag, right? Like multiple tools in their bag. Like they can all pass, they can all shoot. I was like, when they first come together, I was a little not concerned. I don't think that's the right word. A little like curious. Curious is probably the right word because they're all right-handed shots and they all play similar-ish, right?
Right.
But because they can do multiple things, they can do the same multiple things, they can create, there's a lot of creativity and a lot of options that they create for themselves, which is kind of funny now that I think about it, because Dom Ducharme always talks about how his plan is to create options for people. I think those three give each other a lot of options, so that's cool.
I love that line. As I said to Amanda, I think that line is fantastic. I love how high the hockey IQ is of Suzuki and Caulfield and Toffoli. Like they just that pass fake that Caulfield did. It was kind of like the same thing that Pietrangelo did. Was it Pietrangelo who did it?
It was Theodore.
Sorry, yeah. So Theodore did the other night. It was kind of like a similar thing. It was kind of like, well, you can do it, so can I. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
just
cool.
Faked it to Toffoli and right in. And oh my God, I love that chemistry that line has. Because you're right, they can all score, they can all shoot, they can all pass, and they all have hockey IQ. So it's just such a fun line to like. I get excited when I see them.
And I knock on wood, but like if Toffoli gets a point tomorrow night,
yes,
he ties the record for point streak.
Crazy.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Crazy. And it just goes back to how much did I want Tyler Toffoli?
Hey, you were right.
I love hearing that. I can't hear it enough. I'm just kidding. But I'm not.
Cool seeing Jeff Petrie back. He played well. Not as many minutes as he normally does. He only hit like 20 or whatever, but he was impactful, got a point, right? Got an assist. The thing that really stands out to me about all of this right now is after 2 games, like again, but we are 100% in this series. People who are like Montreal's going to get thumped and crushed. We didn't get thumped or crushed either game. We were in both games. So this is a series.
Absolutely. And Jeff Petrie's eyes are terrifying, but I'm glad that it's not dangerous and it's just like.
Right. Yeah, I've had that happen before. It sucks, but like, yeah.
I just wear sunglasses if I could, but clearly you can't when you're playing in a ice rink.
No, I think you should keep them like that, like wear contacts at least. Like it's intimidating.
Somebody said that if Habs are going to give out contacts as a joke that look like that, but there's actually a company in Montreal who I've met at the trade shows I used to go to who sell those contacts. They make them and sell them. And they're a Montreal brand company. I'm sure they have them. They're really creepy though. But
I don't know if that's a good thing to sell those afterwards. I'm sure Jeff Petrie doesn't want people like making fun of his eyes, even, like accidentally.
No, I agree, but it was a funny comment. He's like, they're going to be selling these. And I'm like, oh, I know the company you can get them from. But
speaking of funny comments, do you want to hear something?
Sure.
Marc Bergevin was nominated for GM of the Year today.
Yes. So I actually, I'm not a Bergevin fan. You know that.
Yep.
I've had him fired for like 3 years. However, I did point out something, and I said all of his off-season acquisitions have been brilliant. Jake Allen was great. Edmondson, Petrie, Anderson. Who am I missing? Perry, who's like my favorite. Corey Perry. All of these acquisitions in the offseason were awesome, and they have all paid dividends for us. So I get it. Again, I wasn't a huge Ducharme fan either. They had no practice time. They were hampered by injuries. They had all their games condensed into like a month and a half schedule. You can't really. I mean, yeah, he did great. I mean, as much as I'm not a Bergevin fan, I have to admit, I mean, he needs to get another puck-moving defenseman and hopefully like some legit game-breaking talent. Eichel, but otherwise, I mean, he did a really good job, no?
Yeah, so the voting for this award happens after the second round ends.
Does it? Oh, people were asking that today, and they weren't sure because I know most of these awards are before the playoffs.
Yeah, so this one's not, because obviously team success has a lot to do with whether or not the GM's done a good job. If this award would have been voted on at the start of the playoffs before we played against the Leafs, it wouldn't have, and I think the same needs to be said for Lou Lamoriello also, right? Like, the Islanders are still in it, therefore he gets the votes. But holy hell, I'll take it. And I'm just going to jump to my hot take right now because it's the right hot take. Nobody who works in hockey or who talks about hockey, myself included, knows anything about hockey. There are so many bungled predictions. None of us know. Like, I thought Bergevin should win GM of the Year at the start of the season because I'm dumb. Yeah. Then I thought he should be fired because I'm dumb. Then I really thought he should be fired because I'm dumb. And now I think he should win GM of the Year because I'm dumb. And I'll just ride that roller coaster from now on. I don't need to hold on to predictions hard ever again. Just like the people who predicted the Leafs would beat us. Like, these are experts. They know nothing. And we all know nothing about hockey. Hockey is voodoo.
I agree with you, though, is that it's a roller coaster. And I mean, don't forget, though, we started off, we were amazing, right? We were like 10-0, or not 10-0, but we were like amazing, scoring 5 goals a game, 6 goals a game. It was insane. Then we had like a dip for 46.
The rest of the year.
46 games, let's be honest. but again, no practice time. When they had that week off, they weren't allowed to practice. They weren't allowed to do anything. We still had Julien. Then they fired Julien after that break, which made 0 sense, but whatever. Bring in Ducharme like the beginning of March or middle of March or whatever it was in March. And then he can't practice because there's no time to. So the only time he finally had a chance to practice was after game 56. And then at game 56, then we go and face the Leafs. And yeah, we looked really I think after 4 games, we were all like, oh God, they're both done, right? And then bang, we start our 7-game win streak. It's been a tumultuous, crazy season. However, it's also been, I would even have Ducharme up there as coach of the year at this point, for playoffs alone.
That's tough.
Playoffs alone.
Tough.
Playoffs alone.
Interesting.
I wouldn't really, but I'm just saying, they're responding to him and they're doing great. So I don't know. I find the whole thing really, really, really interesting. I don't know. I think you're right. None of us know about hockey, but that's
hockey is voodoo.
It is. It really is. I had a Caps. I was talking to my Caps friend today, and she's like, "I really hope you guys beat Vegas." And I'm like, "Me too." I'm like, she goes, "But then you're gonna have to probably play Tampa." And I'm like, "Yeah, they're kind of our Achilles heel here. That's not." She goes,
"No, we swept them. I remember we swept them.
I was at that game, and then we lost the next year, and then they've beaten us since. But I was at the game that we swept them actually, game 4.
Uh-huh.
But I'm just saying, you never know. And they keep saying how somebody tweeted out today how this is the 3rd team that Montreal's faced that doesn't have their top center. Okay, first of all, Matthews over Tavares, I thought, could be wrong. Whatever.
I don't even care about that argument though, because for years people have been like, oh, you're a one-trick pony. You only have Carey Price. Without Carey Price, you're nothing. So, if it's okay for a team to hedge their bet on a player,
yeah.
But if you lose that player, you pay the price. It's not Montreal's fault. Mark Scheifele's out. Mark Scheifele did it to himself. It's not their fault. John Tavares out. It was a freak accident, right?
Yep.
If your team can't handle losing one player, it's a management question,
Well, and they have Matthews. It's not like they lost Matthews and Marner. There's so many players on that team they could lose and they'd still be okay. You know what I mean?
Also, they lost Tavares and still won 3 games.
Exactly. Well, that's another yes. And then there's that the Golden Knights aren't playing with Chandler Stevenson, who, except for me, because I'm a lunatic and I know way too much about random hockey players, nobody even knew who Chandler Stevenson was last year. And as per my Caps loving friend,
I did.
So I know you did. I know I did because people don't like that. But most people don't. And as for my Caps loving friend, if Chandler Stevenson was really that good, he'd still be with the Capitals.
Sometimes chemistry just works, right?
For sure. My friend said that, not me. But it's true though, right?
It was like William Karlsson on Vegas, right? He couldn't crack Columbus's 4th line. And then Columbus was his second team. Anaheim drafted him. He was a second-round pick of Anaheim, and they gave up on him. Then Columbus gave up on him. Look at Jonathan Marchessault. Same thing, right? Like,
big fan of his too, yeah.
You never know how things shake out.
Absolutely. And I have to say, did you know that Vegas was this dirty, gets away with no calls all the time? And this is like not just against us kind of thing. This is against everybody. Did you know that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's favoritism. I don't know, but it's definitely bad reffing. That's for sure.
Oh my God. Like, I'm sorry. You're you're blowing the whistle because somebody's hurt on a boarding call, but you're not giving a penalty for boarding? What? That's not even normal.
Yeah, it's weird.
The reffing is atrocious. And did you hear Ducharme's comment today about it?
Yeah, it was funny.
It was hilarious. But anyways, so yeah. And also the North Division is not weak. Apparently the West Division was the weak division.
That's awesome. That was going to be somebody else's dumb take to avoid, that the North Division is weak. They're not. Clearly they're not, because right now Montreal's in this series against the team that tied for the President's Trophy. So, you know, and people will argue that Montreal wasn't the best team in the division. We can argue about that, whatever, doesn't matter. But if you think Toronto or Winnipeg or Edmonton are better than Montreal, well, Montreal's given Vegas all they can handle right now. So I guess that means none of the four teams are weak, and maybe we just don't know anything about hockey.
I guess we really don't know anything about hockey, but
all right, we're going to swing around the league because we're wrapping this up quickly, slowly, but we're getting there. Tampa evened it up. They look dominant now. That game one against the Islanders, we're like, oh, maybe the Islanders have something. I don't know if they have anything.
Well, currently, as we're recording this, it's 1-0 Tampa, end of the first. And I watched the game. Tampa did just look dominant, but they're always dominant. I mean, they're 18 million over cap dominant,
Yeah, they're a really awesome team. I hate them. Speaking of teams I hate, it sounds as if Zach Hyman will be leaving the Toronto Maple Leafs, searching for greener pastures. And when I say green, it means more money pastures.
Yep, I saw that.
It was funny because a lot of people were like, he'll definitely take the hometown discount to stay. But I don't think people understood how valuable he can be. Like, he can cash out in a real big way. So I'm not surprised. Apparently they haven't even talked contract extension. So it's kind of like a foregone conclusion that he's gone, which gives them a bit of cap space. But,
I could totally see him going to like Boston.
The rumors are Edmonton. There's a lot of buzz around him going to Edmonton to play with McDavid.
Oh, yeah. I could totally see him in Boston because I feel like he'd fit in there. But yeah, Edmonton's a good one too with McDavid.
They actually wouldn't fit him on Boston because, assuming they re-sign Taylor Hall, their top two are going to be Marchand and Hall, right? So they don't have room for Hyman.
No, I know, but if they didn't sign Hall, but I could see Zach, going from playing with like Matthews to playing with McDavid, like, okay, have fun.
Yeah, he's what they hoped Milan Lucic would be, I think.
Exactly. I could totally see them making a run for him. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then while we're in Alberta, we'll stop quickly on Calgary's new associate coach.
My boy, Kirk.
The dream boy himself, the original Sherhot or not. I don't know if he was the first one, but he should be. He's a dreamboat. His wonderful hair. Kirk Muller is in Calgary. I'm sad.
I'm very sad.
But what's interesting about that is, so they've brought on Sutter, they've brought on Muller, two big name coaches / assistant coaches in the league. That says, and they talked about in the summary of it that like he's there to help kind of work on the forwards and build the culture a little bit. That sounds to me like they're not looking to do the roster overhaul that we thought they might do. It sounds like they're saying, let's let the coaches have a year to figure this one out and see.
Very interesting.
I wonder. Maybe Johnny Gaudreau's not getting traded.
Oh, would you take him on your team?
I like him, so yes.
Me too.
Plus, I think we have a hole at left wing next year, so. But I don't care about next year right now. I'm not even thinking about it. Whatever. Speaking of things I'm not thinking about next year, which is funny because my next bullet point on our agenda is the Seattle draft is on the horizon. You can probably start keeping your ears to the ground about other teams, the 28 teams or the 27 teams that are not in right now, about what they're doing with their protected lists. Yeah,
so rumor has it that that Seattle might be going hard after Dougie Hamilton.
I heard that too. I think he's a big fit. There's the Ron Francis connection, even though Francis was gone by the time Hamilton came in or whatever. But I just don't know how they acquire him because they don't have any assets to trade back. Like if you're Carolina, you're working on a sign and trade, right?
Right.
You trade him to Seattle to get something back in return. They don't have anything except for draft picks, and you're not trading the second overall pick.
No, I don't think so. No.
So I don't know how that works out unless they wait. Like if they can snag him in free agency, props to them,
Yeah. Would you go after him?
I think Dougie Hamilton's one of the best defensemen in the league. He would instantly be the best defenseman on our team by a mile.
I know. I would love to get him too.
I've always been a big fan of his. Even when he was on Boston, I liked him. That's how much I liked him.
I hated him on Boston because he was good.
I also like Dougie Hamilton because he was one of the last remnants of the Phil Kessel trade. So it was another screw you to Toronto because that would have been their pick.
Yeah. Well, DeBrincat would have been our pick. So yeah, I'm going to tell you.
Dougie Hamilton is 10 times the hockey player that Alex DeBrincat is, but I like both those players.
Yes. I'm just saying that's what people keep throwing up with that comment is how DeBrincat would have been ours.
Okay. Do you have a hottie of the week?
Do I have a hottie of the week? It's not Sunday, but sure, I do.
Well, we can punt it to Sunday if you'd like.
No, it's fine. I have a bunch ready. I just don't know if any of these people actually play anymore in the league because they're kind of random. So today we're going to go with Michael Kempney.
He still plays. He's still good. He's in Washington.
Well, I know he was. I don't know if he's still there.
Yeah.
So
there's actually rumors that he might be one of the people that would be exposed in an expansion draft.
Well, he's kind of cute.
I don't remember what he looks like. Hold on. I need to Google this. Michael
Kempney. He's pretty cute.
I don't know if I agree with that.
He's pretty cute. Check out some different pictures.
He looks a little Nate Thompson-y.
No. Oh, don't do that. I love Uncle Nate, by the way. Amanda brought up Uncle Nate, and I was like, oh, Uncle Nate.
Yeah, I think that was super cool.
I love Uncle Nate. He doesn't look like Nate Thompson at all. He looks a bit like Tom Wilson, actually, which is sad, but
probably because he's wearing the Capital stuff.
No, but he's cute.
Okay, that was our first one where I wasn't like, yeah, you picked a good one. So we're not sold on him yet, but
I'm sold on him. You're not.
All right, what do you got going on? What do you got going on this week? You're just watching hockey, ready to rock?
I'm watching hockey. My mom's going to come over again tomorrow to watch the game because, my dad's going to kick her out again. For that, she has to come here. For that, we can watch the game together. For that, we can win. Eating my donuts. And not a very exciting weekend for me. Just hockey, and that's pretty much it. I just heard a weird noise outside.
That is my daughter screaming upstairs right now because she doesn't want to go to bed. So I think that means it's time to wrap.
All right. Well, everybody, as always, follow us on our socials. A major, major, major thank you to Amanda Suzuki. Thank you so much. If you guys ever want to join the show or you know someone who does, let us know. Send us an email. Send us a message on Twitter. Again, all of our socials are at Fumble Puck Pod, except on Facebook where it's Fumble Puck Podcast. Go Habs, go.
Go Habs, go.